Hi, I'm Tanmay. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install Ubuntu Server OS. This is a single one-stop video. If you are searching for how to install Ubuntu Server OS or want to install for learning, this video covers everything. I will explain installation on Oracle VirtualBox, installation directly on a laptop or PC, and we'll discuss about both single boot and dual boot options. I will also show how you can connect to the server through SSH. So let's start the video. Before moving forward, you need to download the Ubuntu Server ISO file. For that, you go to the official website. Here I am downloading the LTS version 24.04.3. This file is around 3 GB. Download the ISO file. I have already shared the link in the description and I have already downloaded this file. So for the installation on VirtualBox, you need to download Oracle VirtualBox. Go to the official VirtualBox website of the Oracle. The link is provided in the description. Choose the VirtualBox version based on your operating system. In my case, I am using Windows, so I have already downloaded it. Install it normally as you do for any software on Windows. But sometimes you may get an error saying Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable is missing. If you do not get this error, you can continue normally. If you get this error, go to the Microsoft official website, download the Visual C++ redistributable package and install it. After that, run the VirtualBox installer again and click next and continue with default options. Now VirtualBox is installed successfully. Now open VirtualBox, click on new to create a new VirtualBox machine. Enter the VM name. In my case, I am naming it Ubuntu Server. And for the VM folder, you can keep default location, but I am selecting a different drive. Now select the Ubuntu Server ISO file that we have already downloaded it. Make sure you untick this proceed with unattended installation. Now move to the virtual hardware option. Here you need to provide how many CPU cores you want for the virtual OS and the RAM. I am keeping the default option, but according to your requirement, you can increase or decrease it. Then specify the virtual hard disk, which I am also keeping as the default of 25 GB. You can also change it according to your requirements, then click on finish. Now the VM is created. Now we have to click on start to install the OS. But before starting the installation, make sure you are connected to internet. A new window will open. For your information, this installation process fully works with keyboard only. Now you get 3 options. Select the first option, try or install Ubuntu Server. Then it will ask for the language. Select according to you. Here I am selecting English. Click enter and then again select layout and variant same as English. Then again mark done. Next you will see the installation base. By default Ubuntu Server is selected as cross marked. Keep it as it is, but there is an additional option for drivers. Select it. It is mainly not required in VirtualBox, but still select it. You need to select it using the space bar button. Next you have to select the network, but for now keep as it is. Later we will change the network. Then again mark the done. Next we are not using proxy, so ignore it and again mark done. Next on this window wait for a few seconds, and once the mirror location is tested, when the reading packages list comes, click on done. Next you will get the select hard disk option, but here VirtualBox only provides one, so you do not need to do anything. Next this is the partition page. As we are doing this in VirtualBox, keep the default partition. You can change it if it is required. Just keep it as it is and then again mark done. This page will show a warning. Click on continue, as by default the virtual hard disk is selected, so no need to worry. Next, now this is important. You need to provide some important information. First you need to enter your name. I am giving my name. Then your server name, which I am also giving as a tanmay-server. Now the username for the server. This is the username you will use to log into the server, and provide the password. Make sure you remember or note down your username and password, which are going to be used for login. Next on this page keep the default selected, skip for now. Next again this is an important page. As I want to log in to the server remotely, open SSH is required. So select it using spacebar button and then done. Now this is a list of some useful software. If you select them, they will be installed by default. But I suggest you make a list and search for each one to understand the use of the software. Then install them manually later after OS installation, not now. So you can learn more. So I am going to ignore this and mark it as a done. This is the last page. Now the installation will start. Wait for the installation. It might take some time. After installation, this page will come where you need to just press enter and the login page will come. Now provide your username and password. You will get logged in and your OS installation is completed. You can continue using it. But currently you cannot log into the server remotely. First, shut down the server by entering the command sudo shutdown now. It will shut down your server. Then right click on the VM, go to the setting, the network option. Here by default, network adapter is selected as NAT. Change it to bridge adapter and keep the other setting as default and then click save. Now again start the VM. You will get the login screen. Login by providing user ID and password. Then run the command IPR to know the assigned IP to your server. Here the assigned IP is 192.168.1.9. But this is a dynamic IP, which means when you restart the VM, it can change. You can also assign a static, means fixed IP, but that requires some configuration, which is not part of this video. For that, you can watch my video how to create your own server at home, where you can use that server lifetime free hosting and also you can connect to the domain. In that video, I have explained everything. Link I have already added in the description. You can check that video. Let's get back to the topic. Now with the assigned IP, you can access this Linux server from any device, your personal laptop or any different laptop or also through mobile. The condition is only you have to connect it to the same Wi-Fi network or the same internet that personal laptop is connected where the VirtualBox is installed. For connecting remotely, you need to open the command prompt and type SSH and username at your IP. Here in my case, SSH Tanmay is the user ID of my server at the IP assigned. First time it will ask for authentication, type yes and provide the password. Now you are logged into the remotely. So this is the way you can install Ubuntu server on VirtualBox and connect it remotely. Now let's move to the installation directly on the laptop or PC. So for installing the Ubuntu server directly on PC, first you need to create a bootable pen drive. For that you can use Rufus. It is a very lightweight tool for creating a bootable pen drive. This is the official Rufus website. Download it according to your operating system. In my case, I have already downloaded it. Now just double click to open Rufus. I have already attached the pen drive. One important thing, this process will format your pen drive, so make sure there is no important data or files on it. Rufus will auto detect the pen drive, but still make sure you verify it once. Now select the Ubuntu server ISO file which we have already downloaded. Keep all other settings as default. When you click start, it will give a warning that the pen drive will be formatted. Click OK. It will take a few minutes. Once it is completed, the status will show ready. Now comes the important part. Which mode you want, single boot or dual boot? Single boot means Ubuntu server will be the only OS on your machine. In this case, the installer will use the entire hard disk or SSD. You can still create partition during OS installation if you want. But in dual boot mode, you will run two operating systems at the same time. For this, you must create a separate empty partition where your Ubuntu server will be installed. To do that, search for create and format disk partition in Windows. Open it. In this window, you can see all the partition details. I have hard disk and SSD attached both in the system, disk 0 and disk 1. Now I am going to install on disk 0. Disk 0 is my SSD where Windows is already installed. I have already installed the Ubuntu server in one partition of 80 GB. But for demo purpose, I am shrinking that C drive by 10 GB. But for actual installation, I strongly recommend at least 20 GB minimum. And for long term uses, 70 to 80 GB or more. Right click on the drive and select the shrink volume. Provide the size in MB and confirm. Now you can see 10 GB unallocated space. Right click on the unallocated space and select new simple volume. Click next and again next. Here select do not assign a drive later and click next. Now format the partition and change the file system from NTFS to FAT32. Click next and then finish. This step is not mandatory, but sometimes unallocated space does not appear during Ubuntu's installation. So now we have created a empty volume for the Ubuntu installation. Now shut down your laptop, start it again. Make sure the bootable pen drive is already attached where you want to install the OS. If USB boot is already preferred in your firmware setting, then system will automatically detect the bootable pen drive. It totally depends on model and brand of your laptop. Otherwise, we need to open the firmware means BIOS setting. This depends on your laptop brand. In my case, it is F12. It can be F2 or any other button also. You can search the correct key according to your laptop brand. Once you are in the firmware setting, go to the boot menu. This UI can look different based on your brand. Here you can see the EFI boot list. As you can see, the pen drive is in the third position. We need to move it on the top. As written on the right side, to move it up, we need to press F6. Now you can see the USB device is at the top. After that, press F10 to save and exit. It is mentioned in the down. The system will restart automatically. Make sure you do not unplug the pen drive. Now you can see the OS installer is detected from the pen drive. Select the first option, try or install Ubuntu. Most of the steps will be similar to what we did in the VirtualBox apart from few changes. Select the language English, use up or down arrow keys and press enter. Next screen again select English, or you can select the language according to your preference. Now this is important. Select the option to search for the drivers. It will automatically fetch some important drivers for your system. Next is the network configuration, where you need to connect to the internet. I strongly suggest do not proceed with your internet. Sometimes Wi-Fi does not connect properly here. Even you enter Wi-Fi ID and password, it may fail. Instead of wasting time, the best option is mobile tethering. Take your mobile and connect to the laptop using a cable. Enable USB tethering on a mobile as shown on the screen. Make sure mobile is connected to the internet, either Wi-Fi or mobile data. Once connected, you can see one more network option on the page. Go to that option, press enter and select edit IP v4. Change it from disabled to automatic. Now you can see it connected to the internet. Later I will show how to connect to Wi-Fi easily. Now go to the next, wait for a minute and press done. Now comes hard disk and partition selection. It is important. If you want single boot and install on the full hard disk, select the first option, use an entire disk and uncheck the LVM group option. For dual boot, select custom storage layout. Use your spacebar button and then press enter on done. Now the list of partition will appear. Choose your partition very carefully. As you can see here, this is my 10 GB free space. Select it, press enter and click edit. Change the format to ext4 and select the mount point to root, that is /. Save and press enter. Now the partition is selected for the installation. Again I am telling, do not select the wrong drive because the selected partition will be formatted. Click done and then warning will appear. Select continue. Now provide the server details. Here I am providing the name, username and password. Make sure remember the username and password because this will be used for login. On the next page, since I want to log into the server remotely, I am enabling OpenSSH. Now again mark done and next page. These drivers are detected automatically based on your laptop model and brand. So select them for the installation. Now next, these are the optional package list. If you want, you can install now, but I will suggest install it manually later after OS installation. Now the installation will start. It may take some time. Wait until it completes. Once the installation is finished, you will see this reboot option. Click on it and remove the USB pen drive. Now you will see the boot option screen where you can choose which OS you want to use. Here you can see Ubuntu and Windows both are coming. Now I am selecting Ubuntu. Press enter. It will start that Ubuntu OS. Now you can see the login screen came. Login using the username and password you created during installation. Now comes the important part, connecting to Wi-Fi. For that we need to install one package called Network Manager. Make sure your mobile tethering is still connected. If it is disconnected, connect it again. Now run the command sudo apt install network-manager. This will install the network manager. Once the installation is completed, you can remove the mobile tethering. Now you can run the command nmcli device status to check the device status. You can see the Wi-Fi is currently disconnected. To see the available Wi-Fi networks, you can run the command nmcli space device space Wi-Fi space list. Here you can see the list of Wi-Fi is coming. Here I want to connect to TNT Wi-Fi _5G. To connect to the Wi-Fi, you need to run the command nmcli space device space Wi-Fi space connect. Give the Wi-Fi name space and password of your Wi-Fi within double quote. Now it will show successfully activated. Run the status command again to check Wi-Fi is connected or not. Now you can see the Wi-Fi is connected. Congratulations, your installation is completed. Now you can start using the system. But you want to connect to the server remotely, stay for a few more minutes. Run the command IP space R. Here you can see the IP assigned currently 192.168.1.11. As I said earlier, it can be changed on reboot or restart. Now type exit and keep this laptop aside. Now this is my different laptop. To connect remotely, run this command ssh username. Here I have given the username testing server at and assigned IP address. Make sure both laptops are connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Now press enter. Type yes and enter the password. Boom, you are connected to your laptop remotely. Sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. This will update all packages since your server is now connected to the Wi-Fi. Now if you want to use this as an actual server, host your projects, connect it to domain, access it from anywhere, then you must watch my video, create your own server at home. The link is in description where I have explained everything in much more detail. So thanks for watching the video. Do follow, like, share and subscribe for more such content.